YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here. We're about to start a legend here, okay, folks? Actually, the legend started. In fact, the legend started on February 6th, 2011. Now, you might be saying, Air, what is that? That date doesn't mean anything to me. Well, unless you're like someone watching and it's your birthday, and then you might think that it was one of your birthdays. But no, on February 6th, 2011, in a different age, an age when I had apparently a really bad microphone, an age when YouTube's HD must have been in a different format because now they've stretched it out to something weird, an age when Empire Total War was still a thing that I was playing actively on my channel. I was running a Poland-Lithuania campaign. And, well, something interesting happened. I came into a battle against Austria, and there was some firelock-armed populace facing the wrong way, trying to hide behind a wall, got themselves shot in the backs. I started making fun of their ragtag clothing, and then later in the battle, well, I'll let you see. But fair warning, this was a long time ago, folks, so just enjoy this.
Alright, get ready to check out this sweet AI deployment. Their guys are deployed on the wrong side of that concrete wall, so they're like facing the opposite direction. It's like, hey, where's the Polish troops? You see them yet, Fred? I don't get it. And look at these guys. Look at these ragtag losers. I mean, they got holes in their pants. I love how it's like firelock armed populace. So we assume that only the absolute poor wieners come out to fight. Check those guys out. Now they're the Austrian militia troops. Now Napoleon Total War, these guys were Landwehr militia. Oh, there's also some sweet. We're gonna have to call these guys Patchy. He's like, I'm Patchy. I got patches in my clothes. No, Patchy, you died. Oh, man.
Yes, that is how Patchy came to be a thing on my channel. So over 11 years ago, Patchy became a legend on my channel. Now, Patchy made a lot of showings from then on out because people started asking about him in the comments. So I started making up stories about how maybe Patchy didn't really die and he just, has several artificial limbs now and is living a terrible, pathetic life. So Patchy is this kind of conglomeration of stories. He's made his way. He became my daimyo in Shogun 2 because you can name your characters. We've had all kinds of campaigns where he became characters in Warhammer 2, all over the place, and he'll probably continue to be a legend on the channel. So, this campaign, I put up a video and asked you all for campaign ideas, and we got a ton of ideas. I'm still reading through all of them. I think there was like 90-something ideas, and I'm busy reading through all of them. The one that got the most votes was to do a Demons of Chaos campaign with Patchy as the demon. Now here's the story. Again, remember that he walked around with no socks on and patchy clothes. He was frequently being shot, stabbed, nearly killed, left for dead, freezing to death, all that kind of stuff, starving. One of these times when he woke up in the woods, he awoke and saw a light and figured that, it was finally time for him to go home. And he approached this light, but rather than being a merciful conduit back to heaven, it was a rift into another world. Patchy finds himself, after coming through this rift, in a whole other world. And he finds himself in front of the Chaos Gods, each of them offering benefits for using their units or their gifts, and all trying to convince him that they should serve him, or that he should serve them, and that he should try and destroy the world of mortals, and that if he did, they would give him unreal power. Now this was very tempting for someone who was just a flintlock-armed peasant, and didn't have any life prior to that, and was really honestly kind of tired of being mostly dead all the time. So he accepts this, and that they turn him into a demon, and he is given a mission. He is given a mission to go and wipe out the Norscan tribes and to unite them under the banner of his Demons of Chaos, and he was also instructed that Kislev must be destroyed, as well as the Empire. So being given his mission, he is now going to go execute it. And the Empire is oddly similar to the old Austrian Empire that he served, so it is a pretty good opportunity for him to get revenge. Now, folks, that is the story behind this campaign. You all can, dress it up a little better if you think that we had to do it better here, but Patchy is going to be the main character. We can make up other characters as we go, so as we pick him heroes or units, we can give them names, all that kind of stuff, and work through the story. But that's his objectives. We'll start by destroying or subjecting the Norscans, one of the two. And the reason why I said that all the Chaos Gods were there and offered it is because we're going to use whatever units we want, whatever we think makes us the most powerful. Patchy is really going after power because he had nothing. So he will use any and all gifts from any and all Chaos Gods, but his allegiance doesn't really go to any one in particular. But he will use them to gain power. So that's where we get here. Patchy the Demon Prince. Let's look at the settings. I'm actually going to roll this one on, you know what, we'll go ahead and do it on Legendary, but I'm going to turn the battle settings, it says with higher leadership. Let's do this normal battles, but we'll do it on Legendary. So this will give us a lot of enemies to fight against. Actually, I'm not going to do it on Legendary because then it won't ever let me save it when I need to. So I'm going to do it on Very Hard so I can actually run the saves when I need to. There's not a whole lot of difference, to be honest, other than it doesn't let you save when you need to. I'm going to turn off in-game scenarios because that's not the objective in this campaign. So we're not going to worry about in-game scenarios. We've given ourselves the objectives that we have, and we're going to go ahead and get things started. So let's go check out Patchy's position on the Immortal Empire's map. That's right, Patchy. No mercy for those in this world. Power is the only thing that you are looking for. So here he is. We have control, apparently, of the... is it the Forest of Decay? No, that's not ours, actually. So it looks like that can be ours. We have to go take it. So the Forest of Decay is controlled by the Septic Claw, which is Nurgle's faction. A Nurgle faction, I guess. I would assume we conquer it as a starting place. I haven't played the Demon Prince in Immortal Empires before. It does have gifts of, or it has demonic glory here, which is where we get to pick all the different body parts and stuff, which we'll have fun with that. And let's see what else we got. Let's go ahead and just go try and knock down the Forest of Decay here. It looks like it is a walled settlement, which is kind of frustrating. I don't know if we'll continue to take attrition if we siege. Let's take a look real quick. Let's continue the siege. Let's see whether our army... Yeah, we would continue to take attrition, so we don't wish for this. So we really need to just attack immediately and take the settlement. So let's fight this battle. The defenders of the Forest Decay look on, seeing this Demon Prince in the distance that they had not yet heard of. However, here he makes his appearance. It is Patchy. Patchy immediately thinks, my gosh, these guys need some pants and some type of antifungal cream. So he's going to attempt to bring them some cleansing. It may not be the cleansing that they desire, but these followers of Nurgle will at least no doubt be happy, as they typically are at any given point in time. Here comes Patchy, knocking them around. Pretty spectacular looking specimen, if I do say so myself. CA done good on this. May have some other issues with the game, but at least they got that. You can see the disgusting settlement writhing with tentacles and other filth. Demonettes climbing to join their demon prince, clawing their way through these disgusting, filthy plague bearers, and clearing the way for Patchy to take control of the first settlement. Many of them being knocked from the walls to their somewhat bloated and disgusting deaths here. Can't say I really feel for any of them. And they're being killed by rot flies, so... Man, I guess they should have done a better job of keeping the rot flies in their own. So the bloodletters for Patchy are climbing the walls and preparing to take their double-handed swords into combat against more filthy plague bearers. And then on the other side, the followers of Tzeentch, who have come with Patchy, are working their way up the walls. All their little squishy demonic goodness here. They will no doubt be able to bring their magic missiles to bear. Patchy's strength is obviously far too much for these plague bearers to handle. They really don't have a prayer stopping them, since these units' only real function is just to be a hit point tar pit to help support leadership units from Nurgle. And none of those are present. So this is going to leave Nurgle in really bad shape. As Patchy quickly begins to clear the walls, we'll be pulling him down and going after the next unit, which is a unit of plague bearers where the enemy captain lives. Look at the disgusting filth of this settlement. I mean, didn't anybody wash their hands after they went to the bathroom? For goodness sakes, didn't you see the signs? Employees must wash their hands. I guess not. Just no one wanted to follow it. So Patchy takes up off of the walls. Seeing his next target at hand, you can see some tower fire hitting our bloodletters in the distance. The best way to get rid of those towers is going to be to just clear out the infantry on the ground. Patchy will be well suited to that. Yes, here comes more tower fire, I believe. Look off at the distance. See if we can spot some of this incoming indeed appear to be the tower. I see it coming back from that angle. Whether it's going to continue to come here or be targeted elsewhere, those towers actually appear to be somewhat effective, albeit not insanely effective. Demonettes have come down to add their crab claws into the mix here. No doubt the unarmored squishy flesh of the Plague Bearers will present quite the target, but Nurgle's infested forces here have sent some toads to assist. Those will no doubt cause a little bit of trouble, at least for a short while, until Patchy is able to clear them out. He has reinforcements that are coming. The Bloodletters are now ready to hit, and some army abilities are becoming available, which are going to increase the attack, building the fury of his Cornate minions, allowing them to chop through their enemies with haste. So these toads will, like I said, make a temporary slowdown for us. These Sisters of Slanesh here get a little bit beat, and so they're going to take their reprieve up on the walls momentarily so that I don't lose more forces. I see a great number of Nurglings here, and my own Nurglings have finally torn their way through the gates and will now allow my forces to move in. And meanwhile, on the walls, my Tzeentchian forces are slowly gathering, preparing to enter combat. The Flies were sent to take out a tower, but they lose their attack order on the way and just continue to get shot by the other tower. End up being mostly a waste of time. But here comes the reinforcements, the Nurglings of Patchy working their way through. I guess these are like Patchy's own little cute minions, you know, from the Minions movie. Maybe that's what we should name them, Patchy's Minions. I don't know how long they're going to stay in the army, though, because, quite frankly, they suck and they're not good for much other than fodder. But they do look cute here on screen, so at least there's that. And I'm going to send them tumbling and gnawing into some of their own, so this is going to be some hot Nurgling on Nurgling action here. No one knows what's going on in the middle of this. Looks like some kind of freak circus show, but it is entertaining nonetheless. Oh my goodness. Meanwhile, Patchy is cutting his way through his enemies. The toads are beginning to take quite a beating. And then the pink horrors have arrived. They are now being able to fire off the walls, causing some damage. And their blue brethren are not far behind. They will also be hurling their magics into this fight. Khorne, of course, does not approve of this use of magic, but Patchy is here to use the Chaos Gods for his own purpose, not to be bent to theirs. So, as you'll see throughout the campaign, Patchy will do darn well what he pleases, when he pleases, in terms of using the gifts of Chaos. Let's see here that this begins to melt the defenders, despite their high hit points and otherwise somewhat annoying tendency to fight on for ages. They begin to crumble, and that is the end. Alright, folks, so Patchy's first battle is a resounding success, albeit probably a little bit of a boring one when you're just slogging it out against Nurgle. Let's see, which Chaos God makes Patchy feel like he gets the most power at the moment? Most power. I think I'm gonna go with, I'm gonna go with Khorne for now. Like, we're feeling the whole skulls for the throne vibe at the moment with Patchy. He likes blood for the blood god. Khorne is tempting. That doesn't mean it's always going to stay that way, but he's going to go after Khorne for the moment. Now, the Undivided Glory. Again, I gotta remind myself everything that happens here. Let's go over to the Demonic Glory. Undivided gets me certain armor parts. And then the Khorne one gets me certain armor parts. Okay, let's focus. Let's go in here into the tech tree, because the tech tree for this guy is really different from everybody else. So if we go on this tech tree, it's going to income from sacking and raiding, armor for bloodletters, marauders, all that kind of stuff. Chaos Warriors of Khorne, which does make them quite a bit stronger. Let's see, we don't need diplomatic relations with the other factions because we're going to be wiping them out. So let's go with Fury of the Faithful at the moment. And then let's go with Rain, Chaos, additional chance for Khorne rewards. Let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll do some Unholy Terror Troopers next. So we'll focus a little bit on the Khorne stuff here. Nurgle glory generated from building this cultist camp. It lowers recruitment costs. I mean, that doesn't obviously seem like much of a benefit since we're all Khorne focused here. Let's see, I have to upgrade the main settlement before we can do any of this. So let's go over here. We can get income, we can get growth, extra corn glory and regeneration. So I think it makes the most sense to grow for now. So let's do that until we get the settlement. What are Tower of Flies and Bilious Cliffs? I wonder if this is where Bilious Thundergruff comes from, or if it's just the same word. I don't know. Let's see what we're able to recruit, if anything. Looks like we can. Local recruitment pool is populated with units from your local buildings. So we can pick up. Let's pick up a couple of Marauders, and then we'll probably get some Furies here soon as well. In fact, let's do one of each to start with. Okay, end our turn, and then get ready to march Patchy's Reign of Terror onward. Okay, so Patchy's ready to move, and we're going to move towards. Looks like Bilious Cliffs has some Taruki here, but they haven't attacked it. I'm going to take one of these units of Marauders, and I don't think we can do the Warband stuff, like the Chaos Undivided, which is a little bit unfortunate. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and rename this unit Patchy's Firelock Brethren. Now, they were brought through the portal as well. Can we fit this? Yeah. All right, Patchy's Firelock Brothers. They were brought through the portal as well, and I can't promote them like we can in the other campaigns, but we'll continue them, and we'll see, right? As they gain skill and glory, we'll try and keep them with us in this journey. But you know how Patchy is. He's frequently getting those around him killed, so let's end this turn. Now we're ready to take Bilious Cliffs, which I'm just going to auto-resolve this. This settlement isn't going to be particularly challenging, and we're going to occupy with another corn settlement here. Just trying to do our first dedications to the Skull Throne here. Again, does not mean that's what we're always going to do. We're going to put some Unholy Terror in here because we've gotten some corn-focused troops. We also have the Bloodletters, so that'll improve them as we go. Next is going to be the Tower of Flies, because I want to complete this province. And then that way we can focus our efforts southward to begin to pacify the Norscan tribes and any others who would stand in our way. Yeah, we've got our first opportunity here to start adding on to Patchy's body with gifts from the Chaos Gods. In this case, Khorne is pleased with this. We're going to put on the spiked collar, which is looking very stylish, I might add. So that'll be his first piece of upgrade to himself. And it gives him. Let me show you the abilities real quick that it gives him. So now he's going to have the ability Burning Rage, which is just kind of an active ability. It has 3 uses. We can put it as an explosion. Then he's got the passive ability, which is Temporal Rage. As he gets more kills, starts to gain damage resistance. So good way for him to build up. Anyway, I need to end the turn so that we can attack this settlement, and I'll see you there. Alright, the Tower of Flies is in our sight, and its defenders are not but flies as well. They have been swept aside by the mighty power of Patchy the Demon Prince, as he continues to spread his glory to Khorne, at least at the moment, since that seems like his best option. Again, focus on growing his territory first, and then expanding into other elements. So let's take a look at Patchy. We can add to his Unholy Terror troopers now, his Khorne units gaining strength. If we go over into the character details, there's not anything new for us to take advantage of at the moment. All the buildings are set, but we can now issue Patchy's first commandment here. We can foster the cults and spread undivided corruption. We can add more Khorne corruption here. Khorne glory, and it improves the recruitment capability, which is probably what I'll do since we dedicated this one to Khorne. And now we can be preparing ourselves to sail across and go meet up with, it looks like, the Wintertooth is going to be our first enemy over here. I couldn't think of the faction name there. I remember the big ugly troll Throg, but yeah, Wintertooth. So we'll take a shot at them first. And as we're able to cut our way through Wintertooth, and then we'll also have to find Wulfric and any other remaining Norscan tribes. It looks like Septic Claw is going to come make a foolhardy attempt here, taking back what was once his, and that's not going to happen, so some wishful thinking. Vindex contacts Patchy, realizing that a new demon is on the ascension. What is it that he brings? He has declared war upon Patchy. This displeases the Demon Prince a great deal, but it also, I guess, pleases him. I guess the real question is, does Vindex have a skull? If he does indeed have a skull to offer to the Skull Throne, then I guess Patchy is pleased. But if he does not, then he is displeased at being distracted from his true objective of going after Norsca. Let's see here. It looks like Septic Claw is just going to sail around us to Bilious Cliffs and do the typical AI thing, so we'll get our revenge for that later. I'm not particularly concerned about it at the moment. Let's get rid of this loser. Get out of my way, ugly. Demon Prince coming through. An Austrian Demon Prince at that. Alright. So the Volcano's Heart is going to be our next objective. Now, we're going to burn this to the ground. Really not worth fighting, just some more demons here. As soon as we get to a battle worth fighting, we'll fight it. Now, Patchy is destroying the Tzeentchian troops here, but realizes as he's fighting them that they do have some interesting magic. Magic that Khorne won't allow him to use. But Patchy really does want to make use of this. And so he looks upon it and realizes that it can grow his power. So he decides to occupy it and give glory to Tzeentch over it, so that he can try and take advantage of these. Angering Khorne, no doubt, making Tzeentch pleased. Tzeentch, of course, had seen this previously, because that's just the way Tzeentch work, right? They see all. Anyway, let's end our turn here. We do get to pour another point into Unholy Terror troopers, which should have our Khorne troops performing better, having some more armor. And let's take a look, though, just to make sure we don't have any new body parts. And indeed we do. If we go to the tail here, it's actually a Tzeentch gift awaiting us for having paid him some what do you call it, reverence here. It's the Serpentine Tail, which actually gives him a barrier as well. So Patchy will pick up a magic barrier for having given Tzeentch some attention. And gets the Serpentine Tail ability, which causes damage to enemy combatants as long as he's in melee, which will, of course, then feed into his Torso ability, which is going to be the Tempered Rage, where more kills equals more protection. So a very nice combination there. There's not much he can do to defend Bilious Cliffs at the moment, but can maybe focus some effort on the Tower of Flies and see if we can make it more defensible. Now, after having taken Volcano's Heart, Patchy sent out his scouts to look ahead on the battlefield and to see what may be headed his way, and indeed they spotted Vindex himself making his way toward the Tower of Flies. So in all of his cunning, Patchy decides to lay a trap for Vindex. Vindex, who has a somewhat large army here. Don't know if it's enough for us to be terribly concerned about, but probably something to respect. We're going to move forward, and then since the AI is drawn to these unguarded settlements, Patchy is going to come lay in wait and see if he can ambush Vindex on his way to the Tower of Flies and destroy him utterly. While awaiting the arrival of Vindex, Malice Darkblade also decides to declare war. So apparently, things are going to get spicy very quickly for Patchy, not even able to focus his attention on the Norscans. Folks, while waiting still on Vintek, something epic happens. Sirtha Ek, the legend of Norsca and his chariots, also declares war on Patchy. And the thunder of the chariots may be heard, but Patchy's wrath is kindled. Sirtha Ek will be made to bow low just like he was in the Archaon campaign. Patchy's might was more than Vindex could bear. The ambush failed, and Vindex fell back towards his own territory out of pure cowardice. So Patchy is going to continue forward. It's possible that Vindex himself tried to lay an ambush, but not in this case. So we will move forward in an ambush stance once again to see if we can lure Vindex out to his destruction in a more efficient manner. Meanwhile, the noisome tumor begins to grow, and we have our settlements building and defenses as well. So hopefully we can secure something before Malice Darkblade and Hag Grief shows up in force, or any of our other enemies. Patchy's ambush was foiled. Vindex didn't fall for it. That's just going to give him more time to increase the capability of his troops. He's going to fall back into his own territory and then take the opportunity to recruit even more troops. The Chaos Furies will make excellent tower killers, and then the Marauders of Khorne with dual weapons will make some excellent melee fodder. So he's going to go ahead and get loaded up here with a couple more and be at a full strength to take on the forces of Tzeentch. And as expected, Malice Darkblade arrives, and he arrives with a huge number of crossbows, which is bound to be problematic. Something unexpected happened. When I turned my attention to Malice and marched away, of course, the way that CA programs the AI is now that there is no fight, the AI will come with its armies, because of course, why would you want battles in a game called Total War when the AI can just run away and come while you're gone? And look what happened when I hit the auto-resolve thinking that this was a lost cause. Vindex, his army lost to 4 units. Now, this is a pathetic showing, the likes of which will never be forgotten. And Vindex, we have to remember this somehow. We have to maybe name a unit or this city, like we'll call it Vindex's Folly, because it is folly indeed. We're going to give glory to Khorne for helping his warriors stand strong. So the Tower of Flies will, from here on, be known as the Folly of Vindex. Let the renaming begin. So, the Folly of Vindex it is. We shall remember Vindex and his foolishness, his utter incompetence. And it does look like that Malice may choose to fight us. He's got an army here that he leads, and we could go offer him battle. With the number of Furies that we have, it is very possible that we can give a good fight to him. If I walk up and offer the fight, though, I about half expect him to not give it to me, so I'm not certain whether I should approach in an ambush stance or whether I should just approach and see if he will attack. I will go ahead and approach in the ambush stance, see if we can catch Malice, and end this episode with an epic battle. I don't know if there's enough CA pleas that can cover this. Patchy is already confused by this world where enemies have large armies and yet choose not to fight. Malice instead ran away, even though he could have made an interesting fight of it, possibly, and left the settlement completely unguarded, leaving Admiral Leech to sit here and watch as he gives up on what he had previously captured. I'm going to use this endless march to drop the upkeep on our Khorne units in this army. It should help us in only stacking our army further. And with the prospects of fighting so many crossbows at hand, I feel like that we should pick up some more Furies. Then, just looking at the army here, are we prepared, for instance, to take on Sirtha Ek, whose army is in the distance? Will he fight? Will the Norskins live up to the reputation? Or will he simply pass us by as well, looking for the nearest unguarded settlement, not wanting to take any engagement whatsoever? That AI, folks, it's just very impressive. Very impressive indeed. Let's see what happens. Well, it appears that Malice ran off and fought Sirtha Ek, destroying him and leaving no fight for me. But no doubt Malice and his forces were badly wounded in the process, so at least if nothing else, there's some scraps for us to come pick up over here. In fact, we'll attack this army, which is right in front of the settlement, and pull them out onto the plains to fight me in person. Let's destroy these losers and teach them a lesson once and for all for choosing not to fight me whenever battle is offered. Outside of Blackrock, Rivara's the Druki is given the not-so-envious task of fending off an angry demon prince who is becoming ever more powerful each turn. She is immediately caught and forced into combat. She calls in reinforcements from her Black Art, desperately trying to fend off the overwhelming forces of chaos until her reinforcements arrive. But it is not going to happen. All of Patchy the Demon Prince's forces have arrived, and his newly minted Marauders will also get to see some combat this time as they work their way very slowly across the battlefield, because these guys clearly need to be running some more sprints and really need to get themselves into shape. They've been eating way too much butter back at camp. Yes, butter is a favorite food of those who prefer to add skulls to the throne because it is delicious, it is calorie-laden, and gives them the energy that they need to cut their way through their foes. I don't know where I came up with that, but I did, so just take it, okay? In any case, here comes the Marauders. Be wielding their dual axes against the Druki, and should be more than a match for them. Though Bleak Swords, which many will be coming in later, do provide some pretty stout resistance, as Bleak Swords have been buffed since the last patch. And of course, the Marauders of Khorne lack somewhat in defense because all of their focus is on attack, but it should still be fine. The Black Ark continues to call in its bombardments in its desperate attempts to slow Patchy's forces, but it will not be enough. It will not be enough. Patchy's forces quickly overwhelm Rivara's army, and he sends her running off of the map in disgrace, where she flees. The reinforcements, though, are now coming onto the battlefield, some of them even popping some quick shots at Patchy, hoping to bring down the Demon Prince and to bring glory to the Druki.
Behold the power of the
See here that there are going to be a whole heck of a lot of Dark Shards, which will be very dangerous. There are Dread Spears, there are going to be Bleak Swords, there's a few Shades mixed in here for good measure, as well as some Black Ark Corsair handbows.
Behold the power of the arm.
I believe they're the handbows. Yes, they're the handbows. There's no standard Black Ark Corsairs here. Black Ark Corsairs would actually be quite dangerous for my forces at the moment. Other than maybe Bloodletters, you can see the bombardment still coming down in the background. There is a narrow pass in which the enemy has to come through. It is blocked by an imaginary white line out to the left, CA please. And then some rocks over here. So they will be hemmed in and unable to get into any type of surrounding. They're using their shadow magic here with some Melkoth's mystifying miasma, but Patchy's forces are not mystified by such mortal things, and his troops dodge the Black Ark's bombardments, and his pink horrors begin to unleash their magic upon the Druki. Though well shielded, the Druki will be somewhat resistant to this magic. However, it will still take a toll that the Druki cannot afford if they actually hope to win this battle. Now, Patchy has told his forces what they're to do. The Marauders of Khorne are to charge right up the center, fix the enemy in place, while Patchy and the rest of the flying units are going to swoop in and swamp all the Dark Shards, making sure that they cannot fire and helping win the battle. Some of the Tzeentch forces here are used to absorb some of the initial volleys of missile fire with their barriers. They are glad to sacrifice themselves to the cause of Patchy, and no doubt many will do so in the course of this campaign. And the battle lines are drawn. The Druki, engaged by the forces of the Demon Prince. And the Marauders of Khorne should do well, but again, Bleak Swords, nothing to sneeze at here. With no armor and low melee defense, my Marauders will definitely feel some pain as they do this engagement. However, each of these forces I'm willing to reinforce with some stronger here. I've got the Demonettes helping out on my right flank, and you can see the armies of Furies diving into the backfield, fixing all the crossbows and Patchy himself, as well as the Rot Flies coming in. And so the missile units for the Druki are going to be somewhat stymied. And meanwhile, I've got an opening here in the main lines, and I'm going to exploit that with a unit of Bloodletters and some other units, Chaos Warhounds, that will move through. My Marauder line is wearing somewhat thin against a rather large Druki assault. However, the left flank of the Druki begins to collapse, and Patchy's forces begin to push through. And the middle, though, is becoming difficult to hold. The Blue Horrors are going to be ordered forward into melee in order to hold, and you can see now the troops making use of the break here in the middle, and Bloodletters forcing their way through. Unfortunately, though, being sandwiched by the Bleak Swords, who gave up on the other fight. And this is not good because the leadership is not great. These Bloodletters, they may find themselves under a lot of pressure. Meanwhile, the missile units, the Druki, have not been able to accomplish their task as they have been constantly tied down by Patchy and his flying forces. When on the ground, of course, though, Patchy is quite fearsome and will be causing a tremendous amount of damage. Take a look at the kills here, already up to 40 kills. And the enemy is taking gargantuan damage. There's his explosion ability, knocking units back. You can see that there are very few skirmishers left to support the Druki forces. And where they were doing their best in this fight, its flank is beginning to wrap up, and that their troops are being surrounded. Their morale is beginning to falter, and the options for the Druki are growing very thin indeed. So thin that there isn't any, to be precise. Pink Horrors ended up in a fight with some Black Ark Corsairs and very quickly wished that they hadn't. because they were overmatched there, but fortunately the rest of their forces are doing very, very well. Marauders of Khorne, again, take some beating, but also dish it out. Each of them are going to have hundreds of kills, and should be doing very well here. Meanwhile, you can see the Furies quickly ridding the battlefield of any remaining crossbow threats. Patchy himself coming in, preparing to support by killing the Druchii leader here, which is a sorceress of shadow. I love that. He just steps on her when he walks past. Absolutely perfect. I mean, that is a rather large sword. I don't know how she's going to survive any hits with that thing. That is some dark magic indeed if that works, but the sorceress not loving life right now. See the Furies making sure that none of these units do anything. And despite her trying to use some magic on Patchy, it's just not going to work. She is getting absolutely decimated. Her forces begin to rout, and the battle is won. And Patchy was able to add nearly 2,000 skulls to the throne, thus pleasing Khorne greatly. Only one unit was lost, which was a Bloodletter of Khorne, and that is unfortunate, as it is a good unit, but we will recuperate it soon enough. The new Marauders, including Patchy's Firelock brothers, managed to rack up a great number of kills against the Druchii, and Kain was not there to save them, and again, the glory here will be dedicated to Khorne. And the Black Rock settlement is no doubt now in Patchy's sight. Let's take a look and see if he has any new demonic gifts, and he has many. As far as heads go, we've got this Fueled by Rage, which is going to increase weapon damage in the area whenever the hit points go below 50%. Might as well throw that on, I believe. Rampages, though. It's a lot of extra attack. That's pretty nice. But I think we're going to do this because it also comes with Gore Feast, so if he's in melee, he's regenerating. So Patchy is definitely putting Khorne's gifts to work here. He's also got a Bloodthirst ability here, which could be very helpful. So we're going to throw these wings on, and he's looking very stylish now indeed. A new arm, you say? Well, why not? Why wouldn't we want a new arm, especially when it gives extra melee defense? So we're going to throw a new left arm there, looking very nice with the bracers and the steel gauntlet on the end. Very much enjoying that. And then tails, we have the Armored Sentient Tail here, which still gives the Serpentine Tail ability. Gives armor and attack, however we lose our barrier. Now the barrier is only 50 hit points, but still is free hit points. That is sometimes difficult to give up. So I think that I will leave the Tail of Many Teeth just to show the appreciation that Patchy had for Tzeentch from the battles previously and his desire to learn more of these powers, but we've gathered some strength here.
For the ruinous powers!
This one will help our units gain experience, which would make them stronger still. And then we could gain melee attack for Warhounds, Furies, Spawn, Minotaurs, other Khorne units. Now this could be handy for the Furies to really buff them up and make them chew through enemies, but let's see where this leads to. Soul Grinders, Bloodthirsters, War Shrines, so I mean, yeah, we get more of that back there. But let's see what else is down here. Like, for instance, if we were to pay a little attention, this magic wouldn't help us a whole lot at the moment. All glory gained, 3%. Growth, Troll. Yeah, none of that's really necessary at the moment, so I think I'm just going to go with this for now. And then these Riders of Doom, we don't have any of these units yet. That would be handy, but at the moment we do have some Warhounds and Furies that this would be handy for, so let's take that. That's going to be all the time I have for this episode. We're going to be able to get in here and take Blackrock off of Malice, dealing him a massive defeat. And we have to choose how we're going to dedicate this new settlement. And having Khorne dedication going on in his first province with Tzeentch opportunities, the Dark Elves, not this particular variety, but the Cult of Pleasure, sometimes spoke about Slaanesh, and Patchy finds this interesting. So he's going to dedicate this to Slaanesh and see what Slaanesh might possibly be able to add to his army's power and dominion. I will see you all on the next episode. Heir of Patchy here, signing out. Hope you all enjoyed it.